All righty, let's do it on a Friday, or as Bohm likes to say, a Fry-yay. Give it, Bohm. Go ahead, Bohm. You can say Fry-yay.
Fry-yay.
Fry-yay. Happy Fry-yay. It is TGIF. Gorgeous outside. The haze is moved away. I think the haze and the orange atmosphere that some were experiencing, I think it's starting to disappear, which is good news. Belmont Stakes, apparently they're going to run it. We hope anyway. There was some talk about maybe they won't because of the haze or because of the smoke, but apparently everything is getting back to normal, and that's a good thing. All right, we are with you until 3 o'clock. We do this each and every day, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 on the Big Play Sports Network. I am Mike Chico Bormann. He is Michael Bohm, producer. And you, the most important part of all of this, our great viewers, listeners, however you may be getting this here show. And, of course, you can interact with us. Follow us on Twitter at Chico Show CLE. That'll get you the stream each and every day. Also, you can do that on YouTube. Go to YouTube, type in the Chico Bormann Show, and hit subscribe. And you'll see this little thumbs up. I don't know. That could be false advertising. I think there should be a thumbs up that says, "Thanks, man." That's what we should get. My bald head on there with a thumbs up that just, "Hey, thanks, dude. Appreciate the subscribe." Anyway, we got a lot to talk about on this Friday. Oh, baby. Oh, Jose. Boom. Let's just not mess around.
Look at that.
Let's not mess around. Jose, first 3 homer game in his career last night as the Guardians not only won, but they won going away against the Boston Red Sox. No nail-biter, no one-run game. You could actually take a deep breath heading into the later innings as the Guardians secured a 10-3 victory, but Jose Ramirez, his first 3-homer game in his career. That kind of surprised me. I would have thought that he had one already, but maybe this will be. We keep talking about, is this going to be the catalyst? But when he gets going, and he was in a bit of a slump prior to that, when he gets going, oh, baby. Because now, now other guys still need Stephen Kwan to get going a little bit, but you've got, Josh Naylor has been absolutely on fire. His 8-game hitting streak, whatever it is, he's batting like 600. That's like beer league softball. He's treating Major League pitching, Josh Naylor is, as if it's his Sunday beer league softball league. Boom. It is a thing to watch, a thing to behold. We hope it continues. Andres Jimenez, he's starting to bust out of this. Will Brennan, by the way, getting hot, staying hot. Ahmed Rosario. So maybe, just maybe, fingers crossed, knock on wood, this is going to be. They are going for 3 straight victories tonight. I'm not trying to be a smartass. I'm really I'm excited. I'm being serious when I say this. Let's start a real win streak. They have not won more than 2 games in a row since the first series of the year back in April. Think about that. The first week of the season was the last time they had more than 2 consecutive victories. So they've got the Houston Astros coming to town. Now, Houston Astros are a good club, a great club. They're 36-27, but they have lost 3 games in a row. And yesterday, in their most recent loss, I think that was to the Jays, Yordan Alvarez. Are you familiar with him, Boom?
Yes.
He's not the guitarist for Santana. I don't know who is I know you know who the guitarist is for Santana.
At one point, I want to say it was Neil Schon from Journey.
Yeah, Neil Schon. Yeah. Follow him on Twitter.
But also Carlos Santana, of course.
Carlos. Yes. Who can forget Carlos Santana?
Was that who you were asking about?
Something like that. Anyway, thank you, Boom. He's on it as usual. He's on his game. But Yordan Alvarez, who is leading the major leagues in RBIs with 55 and is one of the most dangerous hitters in all of baseball, certainly one of the best run producers in all of baseball, apparently, and we don't wish injury on anybody here at the Chico Bormann Show. Bo might, but not me. He's a dark individual. That's all I can tell you. But we don't do that. But Yordan Alvarez apparently was taking his hacks before the game yesterday. In his last swing, he, I guess, re-aggravated an oblique injury that he had at the beginning of the year. He came out, he played the game, he had 1 at bat, and then immediately went to the bench. So we don't know. I mean, we'll see. Let me see if the starting lineups are out. They're probably, no, I doubt it. Yeah, they're not going to be out this early. Well, we'll see. What about Houston? No. They've got Yordan Alvarez expected to be out until at least June 19th. That's big, Boom. That's big. There's a gleam, men. There's a gleam. Get that gleam. That's a big middle of the order stick that the Astros are going to be missing. And as I said, they've been slumping. And we talk about the Guardians' struggle scoring runs. I think in their 3-game losing streak, they've only played at 5 runs. So it sounds like Guardians' trials and tribulations that they've had. Now the Astros are having it. They come to town for 3. Good pitching matchup tonight. Christian Javier against Logan Allen. But, again, that Minnesota Twins team lost yesterday. So it's a game and a half back are the Guardians. 3 against Houston. And the Minnesota Twins go from Tampa Bay to Toronto. And that won't be a walk in the park either. So maybe, just maybe, Bohm, if you play your cards right, I always wonder where that came from. I always heard that. Didn't you always hear that as a kid? Maybe you still hear it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a common expression.
If you play your cards right, we might get ice cream after the game. Well, I don't have any cards. But if we play our cards right, if the Guardians play their cards right, we could end this weekend, and they could very well be in first place. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, and yeah, I know, okay, that doesn't necessarily sell you on the fact that they're – but they are a second-half team. They've had a lot of injuries. They're getting Tristan McKenzie. They did get Tristan McKenzie back in his first outing. He was outstanding. Aaron Savali, pretty good again. And now you've got Logan Allen going. Tanner Bybee's doing his thing. So, maybe this is when. We've been waiting for it, but maybe this is where they get that spark, and who better to be that catalyst than Jose Ramirez? This guy right here. This guy. That guy. Hosey. So 3 home runs last night. As the Guardians win 10-3, we shall see what happens. But I'm already going on Sunday. Of course, it's supposed to rain that day. We have all these nice days. But I'm seriously contemplating just going tonight as well. Because that's a good pitching matchup. Javier is on a roll. He's one of the best in the league. And, of course, we know Logan Allen, no Alvarez. I'd like to see them get off to a great start in this series. Good crowd, I'm sure, tonight. The weather is going to cooperate. You got the fireworks, the dollar dogs, and all that good stuff.
Did you say dollar dogs?
Aren't they all dollar? I thought every Friday home game was a dollar dog night.
Oh, man. You're making me want to buy tickets.
Well, I'm hoping I'm right, because otherwise,
you're in for a more expensive meal than you thought, buddy.
Take $6 dogs. Well, Chico told me they were $1. Oh, we don't have Chico setting our prices here at Progressive Field. Anyway, so we got plenty to talk about with that. You want to chime in? 216-626-7901. Is Jose Ramirez going off really the cure for what has been ailing this team? Like Stephen Kwan said it. When your superstar, he's our superstar for a reason. When your superstar hits 3 bombs and makes a key play at third, everybody feels a whole lot better. Obviously, you win, and that's the most important thing, but Jose just might be beginning to heat up after a bit of a slump. That's a huge deal.
And, Chico, I feel like subconsciously, if you're a Stephen Kwan, you want to play better because your superstar is delivering. You want to hold up your end of the bargain here. And I think I'm hoping this could be the catalyst. At the end of the day, like you said, they've never won more than 2 in a row since early April.
Yes.
So are they able to sustain it? That's the biggest question, but you have to feel great about it at this point. I'm just hoping this is actually the catalyst to get us to the Guardians that we know we're capable of.
Boom. I used the word catalyst,
you did.
I think, twice. Then you used it twice.
That's the word, the spark.
Is this one of your favorite words or something? You really like the term catalyst?
For that context.
The springboard?
For that context, I think catalyst 1A, spark 1B.
Springboard?
I've never used springboard. Bootstrapped?
This is the only place you're going to find this stuff, kids.
Ignite. Ignite's a good one.
Ignite's a good one. Yeah. Stephen Kwan, see, that's just it. If Stephen Kwan gets going, this is what we've been, Tito Francona says this a lot, and he said it this year already. Like, normally you have 3 guys that are hot, you have 3 guys that are in the middle, and you have 3 guys that are slumping badly. Well, for most of this season, it's been sometimes everybody slumping, sometimes Josh Naylor obviously on fire and everybody else struggling. Will Brennan started hot, then he went ice cold. Now he's hot again. So if you can start to get, 3, 4, 5 guys, and certainly the guys at the top of the order, Quan, obviously your leadoff guy, get him going. I hit it so hard, the Golden Glove came off again. That's a good omen. It was a bad omen earlier in the week. It's a good omen today. Why? Because Jose, 3 home runs. Home run. Kenny Mayne used to say it like that on SportsCenter.
Dingers. I saw Neil Everett is leaving. What is it? Bartender. Jack. One time when I was in OMS and we did like a mock call of like a mock SportsCenter thing.
Yeah. What's your favorite? Okay, hang on a second. Let's go off the beaten path here. Uh-oh. What is your favorite SportsCenter commercial? I don't think they make new ones really anymore. Do you have one that is your all-time favorite?
I don't know if I have an all-time favorite, but some that stand out. I know the Manning's one was really good.
Yeah. Where Peyton starts kicking Eli and Eli's kicking Peyton, and they're getting the tour, and Archie's giving him the old eyeball, like behave like they're 7 and 8 years old.
Do you have a favorite? I didn't have anything prepared for this, so
no,
I gotta brainstorm on it.
You can't just go off the fly, Bohm.
I'm trying.
What about you, boy?
I'm thinking about it.
I'll tell you what. I like a lot of the ones when it was DP and Kenny Mayne, like Kenny Mayne was having a really, rough go, and it got towards the end of the night, and they're like, Kenny, we're gonna have to yank you, and Kenny Mayne's like, no, I got it, I'm okay, like a closer would, no, Skip, I'm okay, just leave me in. And while Kenny Mayne's telling Lou, the guy that comes out with the makeup and the water and the tea, he's like, Lou, I'm fine. And Dan Patrick's going like this. He's going. So they take him out. And Trevor Hoffman comes in to finish the Sports Center. That's always a good one.
I forgot about that.
I like Charlie Steiner as the when he's afraid of Evander Holyfield, and Holyfield's going around Sports Center. He's like, Steiner, come on out here and get your whoop.
Another good one was John Clayton doing the hit.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like,
takes off the
hairpiece. Yeah, what does he yell at his mom?
It's like, Mom, I'm done with
I'm done with my segment.
I'm in my room. Something like that. Yeah. I don't even know how we got off on the Sports Center commercials.
I was doing a mock Sports Center back in my broadcast schooling days, and so my home run call. Let me know what you think of this. Right. So right when they make contact, I go, boop.
And
well, and then I would elaborate more on what's happening, but it starts with the boop.
That was your home run call. He's not the best in the business for nothing, folks. Oh, that Ohio media school's really paid off. Dynamite drop in. Imagine if that was Hamilton's call. Like Hosey launches his third bomb, and Hamilton's like, boop. Like, what? You got to have a saying. You can't just have a noise, and a noise like that.
It's a sound effect.
It isn't a sound. It's barely audible. Come on, Boom. Better than that. Maybe you're
That's
not.
the point, though. It's the exact opposite of what it's supposed to be.
All right. Coming up at 2 o'clock, we're going to talk to Spencer Davies. Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Now, of course, the Denver Nuggets, on the strength of two triple-doubles. One, of course, by Joker, but Jamal Murray as well. Denver Nuggets have taken a 2-1 lead, and they can really put Spoelstra and the Heat in a bind if they get tonight's game. I think the Heat are 3.5-point underdogs in that game at home, and you got to believe if Denver's able to get a 3-1 lead. Now, I know that Miami has made a history of this season. I don't know if that's the team you can do that with. But we'll talk to Spin Davies about that. Other news around the NBA, talk about Dame Lillard, where he might end up. Does he get traded? Chris Paul. I still don't know. Did Phoenix actually waive Chris Paul, or is he still on the roster? Like, I don't think he's officially been, like, waived or cut or whatever you want to call it.
I was under the impression that he was waived, but
all right.
I mean, if he's not, he will be. Will he not?
Thanks, Paul. Yes. I mean, that's what they're anticipating. They don't want to pay him what he's due. Chris Paul, by the way, is anxious to get to free agency. He's saying that he's got several more years left. And you know what? He probably... he's had some injuries, but he's still playing at a pretty high level. Be curious to see where he might end up, but we'll run all that by Spin Davies coming up at 2 o'clock here on the Chico Bormann Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. All right, so Browns mandatory minicamp wrapped up yesterday with a barbecue, 40 former players, including Bernie. Bernie actually broke him down, I believe, and I believe he said, "You matter, go Browns," which is definitely what Bernie would say, should say. But mandatory minicamp wrapping up, I think by all indications, you feel pretty positive. You feel pretty optimistic. Yeah, it's shorts. Yeah, no pads. Yeah, no contact, any of that. But really the biggest takeaway was, I think, Deshaun Watson looking phenomenal. And you say, well, okay, he's just dropping back and, throwing to guys, throwing to Elijah Moore, throwing to Amari Cooper, throwing to David Njoku, throwing to Marquise Goodwin. But if you watched him on, Wednesday's practice, Deshaun Watson was just firing darts everywhere. I mean, just even those that have covered for a long time and really kind of shy away from the whole, oh my gosh, this guy looked great because it is mandatory minicamp and it's not, but you couldn't help. You're looking at him survey the field and the ball coming out of his hand, the deep ball, everything. I mean, he was just on target. But there is one, and I know on Reflog's show they talked about this, kind of the position group you're most concerned about, or not necessarily concerned about, the position group that you're paying the closest attention to. And I think their answer was the interior of the defensive line. I can't disagree with that. Matter of fact, that would probably be mine, but since it is already theirs, I'm going to say mine is the safety position. I think the safety, how long has it been since the Browns have had a true, ball hawk, free safety, roaming around, playing that center field, making plays, getting guys, in the right position? I don't know if Juan Thornhill's going to be that guy, but I feel much better about him possibly being that guy under Jim Schwartz. Now, what's interesting about the safety position under Jim Schwartz is both Delpit and Juan Thornhill, we've seen Juan Thornhill, or the media's seen Juan Thornhill playing up in the box at times. They've seen Grant Delpit playing that center field type free safety position. They've seen the opposite. Now, Delpit is more built like a strong safety. Delpit's the guy that is going to walk up and be, that guy hopefully to stick his nose in there and help with the run stopping and all of that. I think a lot of people, and you can see it, and you can see why it's the case, a lot of folks have very high expectations for Grant Delpit this year. Got off to a bit of a rough start with injuries and whatnot. This guy was extremely physical when he played at LSU, and it feels like the word would be for those seeing the last 3 days, at least on the defensive side, would be versatility. Now, Jim Schwartz has been, really honing in on attack, and they have been. But I think the biggest takeaway would be that versatility. And Juan Thornhill comes over from Kansas City, said it yesterday. He was like, look, I love the fact that we're kind of getting a taste of it all, and that doesn't mean that that's how it's going to be in the regular season, but you want to know each position, and you want to, obviously be able to confuse some teams and where you're lined up. But I think for me, it's easy to say Dalvin Tomlinson and those acquisitions and the interior of the line. I mean, look, I don't care how much better Deshaun Watson looks this year, and I think he's going to look decidedly better. If they are not stopping the run, or better said, if they are stopping the run at a clip like they did a year ago, it really won't matter. Okay, well, you have the guy that can win you shootouts, but they've got to be, if this is a serious playoff team, they have to be a team that is so much better against the run. So, yes, that would be probably the most obvious position group on defense. But the safety position, the Browns really need, I feel like they haven't had a true free safety. I'm wrong on this, but since my days growing up, when it was old Flex, number 22, Felix Wright, leading the league in interceptions. I think he had 9 way back in 89, 90. You got to have that guy back there making those plays. John Johnson, we thought was going to be that guy, and he wasn't that guy. But so many different takeaways, I think, from mandatory minicamp. I think right now what we're all waiting for and anticipating is, obviously training camp, which will be the next time these guys get together. Second week in July is when they go to Greenbrier for a week. They get a head start because of the Hall of Fame game. They take on the Jets, but that's when I think we'll really start to get a feel for what exactly this is going to look like and see even more. Although you've seen Jim Schwartz, as far as the defense goes, already put his stamp on it. With, from day one of mandatory minicamp, he's lined up or standing next to the center because he wants to hear how these guys are doing, how these guys are communicating, what they're saying, and teaching that sort of thing. And I think, when you go back to a year ago, as far as communication, as far as lining up, as far as all that stuff, you didn't get that. And most of that's, I'm sure, on Joe Woods, but some of that's on the guys just out there. You have some veterans out there that should be able to, communicate better. John Johnson being another one. I've said with John Johnson time and again, and I was really disappointed in him because I expected a lot more out of him. But he seemed to be the textbook definition of if you are not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. He wasn't necessarily terrible, but they were really relying on him to come in $11 million a year. I think it was 3 years, $33 million. He comes over from the Rams, and he's got history with Joe Woods, and he made some plays every now and then, but that's not what you're paying a guy $11 million a year to do. I feel like Juan Thornhill, a veteran, a good teammate, a good locker room guy. Oh, why is that? No, it's very important on this team. Very important. So I feel like that safety position and that one in particular, the guy who's going to be playing that center field, hopefully that ball hawk spot, you would think it's going to be Juan Thornhill. They will obviously mix it up a little bit, but it's primarily going to be him. That's the guy that I want to see really take this defense to another level. That's the guy that I really want to talk about. So, all right, let's. I'll tell you what. Let's go to the phones. We'll go to boom. Wow, what do we got? We got Jack here, and he wants to talk about the Browns' safety position. Good afternoon, Jack. How are you?
Hey, Chico, long-time listener, first-time caller. So we were talking over here in the Big Play offices about Tayshaun Gibson, former Browns safety, 6 picks in a year, known as the Shark here in Cleveland. What are your thoughts on that guy? We need that kind of a guy back at safety?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we're nitpicking here. I'm simply saying we need somebody. Tayshaun Gibson was a guy that played very well. I was kind of exaggerating to make a point when I said Felix Wright. It's been a while. They need somebody back there that's making plays, that is able to, when teams do make mistakes, jump all over those, and then, yes, be able to, I know Anthony Walker has already said that, hey, I'm the captain of this defense. And I love the accountability. Like he said last year, I really take a huge part of the blame because, when I went out and he was injured, we had a lot of communication issues. He goes, that's me at that Mike linebacker spot. But between him and then your guy back there in the secondary, and I think Thornhill can be that guy, yeah, absolutely. But I wasn't necessarily looking for, name a guy who has been that guy, although Gibson does qualify. Yes, Jack.
What about I was talking to Nick here in the office. He's talking about a Ronnie Harrison type guy.
Ronnie Harrison. You guys, why don't you just ask Nick? What are you guys doing back there? What are we doing? What are they? I mean, they're just throwing out safety names. Ronnie Harrison would be great. I want somebody to be better than that. Okay, I don't even think Ronnie Harrison is gone. John Johnson is gone. John Johnson was supposed to be, and that's a vital position for a defense. We're talking about stopping the run, and Reflog's right. Ultimately, you can't be what you would consider. Go ahead and you can drop him now. I don't know if he's Get back to work, damn it. You know, I don't know if Juan Thornhill is a guy that can. I don't need him to lead the league in interceptions, but I need him to make plays on the defensive end. And I feel like it's a position, it's a player that we're really not talking a lot about. We're so focused, and I understand it, about, and focused on those guys in the middle of the defense up front. They really need that guy back there to be that guy. And, again, Grant Delpit, yeah, and I'm sure versatility, they're going to be playing both ends. But Delpit is going to be that guy, by and large, that's going to be sticking his nose up there as he's walking up to the line. That's what he's going to be doing. But, yes, Jack, thank you for throwing out Tayshaun Gibson. I feel like Jack's back there trying to get, like, brownie points from hey, I came up with Tayshaun Gibson.
If he really wanted brownie points, he should have mentioned one of the Buckeyes that they have, the undrafted Buckeyes that they brought in. Tanner McAllister?
No.
Ronnie Hickman?
Ronnie Hickman. There you go. Yeah, Ronnie Hickman. I feel like Jack had one of the all-time fair fouls. I don't know if, Bohm, you weren't here. This was when you were rocking and rolling in New York, right? And now I got to give Jack props. He knows I like him. Jack comes in like kind of just, it was almost like an off-the-street free agent. It's almost like we went on the tarmac and said, "Hey, dude, you want to? What are you studying? Media, broadcasting, communication. All right, yeah, that's good enough. Come on in here." And so Gab brings him in, and he's basically running the show like you are. And I'm like, "Look, dude, you don't have to do fair or foul if you don't want. It's kind of just focus on the buttons and get in and out and everything. No, I'll do it." But he says, like, "Hey, give me kind of the lowdown of it." And I'm like, well, it's mainly sports, but if you want to throw in, whatever, pop culture, have some fun, make fun of me for not knowing certain things like Wu-Tang Clan or other, that's fine too, or food or anything like that. He went crazy with the food. So this is still, and I hope Padone is marking this because this was a classic from Jack. You ready for this, Bohm? You're me. I'm you. Chico Farrafal. Wendy's is the best fast food ever. Now, I just met this dude. I'm like, fair. I like Wendy's. Okay. Fair or foul, you count Chipotle as fast food or no?
Somebody was hungry.
Yeah, I think he was. I think he had the munchies, like you.
Yeah.
Get this kid some Funyuns, will you? Anyway, good call, Jack. Appreciate it.
Now,
right.
so
yeah, go ahead, Bo.
Wendy's fair or foul? Is it? Do you think it is?
I don't. I'm not. We're not. They're all great. All right, we're all inclusive here. I'm not into. Yeah, I do like it. I do. First of all, I will say this about Wendy's. Now that it's come up, I have always said I have not had chili with the hot sauce seasoning. You have to get the hot sauce seasoning package. My mouth's watering.
Can we get some Wendy's up in here?
Yeah, maybe they could do that. They're back there throwing out Tayshaun Gibson. They got their feet up, smoking cigars. I don't know what.
I saw them carrying food down to the offices.
Oh, they're all about the food. You think they made a pit stop in here? No. Sorry, we have to help Padone. Chili. I have never had chili better than at Wendy's. And I mean, chili cook-offs, I've been to those. I judged one years and years and years ago. Homemade chili. Like, good chili. But Wendy's chili with the hot seasoning packet, you put like 3 or 4 in there. I like mine spicy. George likes his chicken spicy. Tell me you got that reference. All right.
Seinfeld.
Yeah. You get Wendy's chili, throw in some hot sauce seasoning. their hot sauce seasoning packets. It's good. It's the best chili on earth, in my opinion.
I'm not a big chili guy because I don't eat beef, but
What do you eat, Bohm?
Chicken. And that's why
I feel like, honest to God, I feel like I'm going to get here one day and you're going to be out there like, you're going to be like hanging with the squirrels, like nibbling down in the dirt, trying to find like, I don't know.
Acorns
or grubs. I don't know what you eat anymore, dude. Chicken?
As far as meat goes, yeah. That's
Like-
why I love
Like Chris Farley on the your in-service meals are chicken or chicken.
That's a good flight for me. That's my kind of plane right there,
All
Chico.
right, we got a break here. This is completely gone off the rails. Imagine that. It is Friday, though, so that's important. We'll step aside. When we come back, we've got Fair or Foul. Speaking of that, Chico, Fair or Foul, Wendy's is the best fast food ever. Hopefully, Bowman will come up with something better than that. Also, top of the hour, Spin Davies, talking NBA Finals. The Miami Heat trailing 2-1. They don't win this one. Don't like their chances. How do they do it? How do they respond to what they saw in Game 3? We'll talk about that with Spencer Davies coming up at 2 o'clock. But more of the Chico Bormann Show to come, and you can certainly phone in right now, 216-626-7901. Operators are standing by, as far as we know, right here on the Big Play Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Gorgeous Friday here at the Big Play Studios. on the shores of Lake Erie at Burke Lakefront Airport. Chico Bormann Show. Michael Bohm producing, coming up top of the hour. He writes for the Hoop Herald, previously Basketball News, does a great job covering the NBA, and we'll talk to him about the finals. Also, look out, everybody's in a frenzy. You know why? Because apparently there's word on the street that the Knicks might still pursue a trade for Donovan Mitchell. Here we go. I don't get it. Like, the stuff that you shouldn't be worried about, they are. And the things that you should be worried about, they're not. I don't know. It's just, we got a long way to go with this. And all this is, yes, he has connections to New York. Yes, does he like it? Did he grow up? Did he love it at Madison Square Garden? His dad, scout for the Mets, worked in the Mets front office, I believe. Has many connections there. Remember when it was, oh my God, he played golf, Donovan Mitchell did, with an assistant GM. That was Allen Houston. Like, he's known him his whole life, or since he was, a kid. Yeah, so they played golf. And then he talked about how much he liked. I don't know. It just seems a little crazy. But anyway, we'll talk to Spin Davies coming up top of the hour. All right, Boom, let me, we had intern Jack stroll down here, as only Jack can stroll. And he wanted to redeem himself for the Chico Fairfowl. Wendy's is the best fast food ever. And so he said this. This is his fair or foul to redeem himself, and I'll let you answer this. Boom. Fair or foul. Dollar dogs cost better than regular, or dollar dogs taste better than regular hot dogs at Progressive Field. Fair or foul?
I haven't been to a Dollar Dog Night since I was wasted with a bunch of college buddies.
Since college?
Yeah, I had to be like sophomore year.
Oh, that's right. You hadn't been to a game in 3 years before that Angels game, right?
Yeah, I don't get out much. I try, and I enjoy it. And I remember loving those dollar dogs, but I guess, does the fact that it's $1 make it better?
See, that's what I was telling him. Of course they don't taste as good or, God forbid, better than a regular dog. But in your mind, you're only paying $1, which means, ooh, I still got some left over for some cocktails, for some helmet nachos.
If you were just totally letting loose, how many dollar dogs would you buy?
I've done. I think I want to say I've done. This was years ago, but like 10 or 11, I think. Not like I did 6, because I think, isn't that still the max you can get?
Is it? I mean, could you buy like 4 and then go to another stand and buy 4 more?
Yeah, you could do that. I mean,
feel like I did something wild like that. I definitely had at least 6.
Boom. I feel like I did something wild like that. He's living on the edge, kids. You cannot stop Bohm. You can only hope to contain him. What'd you do tonight, Bohm? Oh, I got over on the on Progressive Field. What'd you do? I ordered 4 dollar dogs from one dude and then moved to another stand and ordered 4 more. Yeah. Put that in your pipe and smoke. All right, go ahead. What do you got for fair or foul, Boom?
All right, Chico, fair or foul? Chick-fil-A is the best fast food. No, just kidding. So, you know who Jimmy Dunn is? He was one of the guys, like the architect to help the LIV PGA Tour deal come together.
Okay.
So he gave an interview with Sports Illustrated Golf, and he basically said that Jay Monahan is going to have like full control to disband the LIV if he wanted to. He'll have that option to choose if he does so choose. But fair or foul, Jay Monahan is going to disband the LIV Tour.
What? Boom, they just made the announcement the other day that
doesn't necessarily mean that he could nix all of the investments coming from Saudi.
So wait a minute. So you're saying essentially, let me make sure I'm clear on this. You're saying that he wakes up one day, maybe tomorrow, and goes, that wasn't such a good idea after all. Plus, I was taking heat. All right, screw the live tour. We're back to where we were before. You're saying that?
I feel like despite what they're paying him and despite like being backed into this corner and doing what he did, I feel like he probably still doesn't like the live, but he can't turn down the money.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he doesn't like those. It's not like all of a sudden he's like, oh, wow. Brooks and Phil especially. Like, I guarantee he despises him. Because Phil was one of the guys, and we talked about this yesterday with Eric Casillas. Phil Mickelson was one of those guys that long before they actually made this, the live tour, and they these guys bolted to the live tour. Long before that, Phil was really at the front of the line. That was like, Jay, there are things that we want as PGA players and as a member of the PGA Tour. We want certain things. A lot of it was, more sponsorship money and the ability to, they wanted to lessen the amount of pro-ams they played in, blah, 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 blah. And Monahan just basically tuned him out. Like, it was kind of like, we're the only game in town. You don't like it, go pound salt. Well, they didn't like it, and they went and pounded salt, but they did it in Saudi Arabia. And while it was very controversial, you're talking about a $600 billion backing. He's not going to. Where did you get that from?
There's an article from it on Sports Illustrated Golf.
Like saying that he could really.
He has the power to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, as commissioner, he has power. I thought you were hinting that he's thinking about doing it.
There's going to be a full evaluation at the end of the season. So
yeah, and
it will be pondered.
And the full evaluation will come back as, you know what? Yeah, I still don't really like it. I don't like how it originated and how they're funded. But I do like the fact that the sponsorship money is basically an endless stream of cash, and therefore we're going to do it. It's just like Roger Goodell. We're not getting in bed with gambling. Oh, wait. How much can we pocket? All right, yeah, we'll go ahead and do it. It's all about the money. It's all about the Benjamins, as the kids say, Boom.
Dollar bills, y'all. Anyways, I know you know the reference, despite not actually knowing the reference.
Yes, yeah, it's because I've been that was the one when people would ask me, like, you've never heard of Wu-Tang? I'm like, no. Dollar bill. I'm like, why is everybody bringing up that one? Because I guess I should have known it.
Shout out to Method Man for writing one of the catchiest hooks in all of rap music history. But anyways.
Yes.
So, interestingly, Chico, as we transition to college football, the Big Ten conference schedules for 2024 and 2025 have dropped. Now, I have two questions here, two fair or foul topics relating to this. Firstly, Ohio State versus Penn State is no longer going to be an annual event.
No longer, it's not a protected rivalry.
Correct. Do you think that's fair or foul?
I think it's, okay. I'm gonna say foul, but let me explain something. I understand that this is one of those, hey, this is where we are at in collegiate sports, in, college football. And it's, again, what did we just say about as far as the Live Tour and all? It's all about the Benjamins. It's all about the money. So, yes, they're expanding, and they're still not done expanding. But now you've got USC, and now you've got UCLA, and those are going to be the rivalries that, if you are, all I can say is, if you are one that is absolutely dug in, that like, well, if it's not old style Big Ten, then I'm out, then you're probably going to be out and you're probably not going to like it. Like Ohio State, Michigan, okay, fine. Yeah, that one's not going, and it damn well better not. But like Ohio, this is what I'll say. What I just said about USC, UCLA, and where college football and thus the Big Ten and all these conferences are going, I understand. But like Iowa, correct me if I'm wrong, Boom. You have the list in front of you?
Yeah.
Whoa. This is the first time that's ever happened. Normally you're like, stand by, let me dig that up. Am I not mistaken? Does Iowa have like 3 protected rivalries?
At least 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I read somewhere 4, but yeah, I see 3 here on the list from Nicole Arbach.
And it's like Iowa, Minnesota, and I'm not knocking. I mean, Iowa football is a good brand, and granted, their offense hasn't been a good brand, but Iowa goes back many years, good tradition. Kirk Ferentz before him, Hayden Fry, but like Iowa really needs 3, and then like who's Rutgers? Rutgers has a protected rivalry.
Maryland.
Rutgers doesn't have a rivalry. I mean, seriously, who is you're telling me Rutgers really has a rivalry in football? No.
I mean, they're just not really good enough.
Like
I guess,
proximity. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I guess my point is, let's not try to just appease everybody here. It's kind of like when the All-Star game, back in the day, we'd always say like everybody has to be represented, right? Or like in Little League, every kid's got to get a turn at bat. No, they don't. Rutgers brings nothing to the table. And athletically, football-wise, they bring nothing. So why would Rutgers, Maryland be a protected rivalry? Make Ohio State, Penn State, I think Ohio State, Michigan State, some have made a play for. Ohio State, Penn State absolutely, positively should be a protected rivalry. Neighboring states, high school, they still don't do that Big 33 game, do they? I don't think they do. Don't forget it, Bo. Don't worry. You don't have to look it up. I don't think they do. But like great football, some of the best football in all of the country is, right there, neighboring states. Why would you do that? Why would you go away from that?
So, Chico, I wholeheartedly agree with you there. Now, I think they just want to include everyone. I mean, at the end of the day, they didn't want to leave everyone out, or anyone. But,
yeah, I mean, like I said, you're right. I'm just saying, this probably has me a little more hot and bothered than it should, but it does. Like,
yeah,
Rutgers brings nothing to the table in terms of football.
We're up against it, so I'll save my other Big Ten question.
No, we've still got 3 minutes, Bohm.
All right, fine. You want it? You got it. All right, so the 2025 schedule also dropped, and so I was looking at it.
Saw that too, yeah.
You compare 2024 and 2025, USC enters the Big Ten schedule in that 24 season.
Yeah.
They don't play Ohio State. And then the next year when Ohio State does play USC, they don't play Penn State. Fair or foul, some Big Ten fans might see this as favoritism towards Ohio State.
Oh, they're used to that. Fair. They're used to that.
Okay, then fair or foul, the Big Ten plays favorites with Ohio State.
I mean, they better, because they're carrying, as Gene Smith says, his words, they're the ones carrying the water. But I don't know. You cannot. I know that we're going in a different direction. I mean, even before we've made these huge wholesale changes conference-wise as far as realignment, they were already getting rid of some of the old school rivalries, Notre Dame, USC, or Pitt and Penn State. But like Ohio State, Penn State is always going to be, especially now with think of that whiteout. Think of that as one of the best college football atmospheres you'll get. And that's not going to be a regular occurrence. Like, that's dumb. But, yeah, we got to make sure Rutgers has one. God forbid Rutgers doesn't have a protected rivalry, because I know we're all tuning in on a Saturday afternoon ready to watch Rutgers kick it off. Somebody out there is a Rutgers alum, and I'm going to get hurt badly walking out of the studios. All right, that is Fair or Foul on this Friday. Thank you, Bohm. And getting me all revved up here, getting me hot and bothered as we get set to talk NBA. And with that, we head out to the phone lines, bring in our buddy Spencer Davies. Follow him on Twitter at SpinDavies. One of the best out there. He writes now for the Hoops Herald. Previously, you might remember him with Basketball News. We love him. We're talking to him now. Spence, how you doing, bud?
What's happening, Chico? How you doing, man?
Well, first of all, let me go back to the last time we had you on, and I just want to clarify. This is kind of me being selfish and wanted to. Did we speak you breaking 90 in golf. Did we speak that into existence here on the Chico Bormann Show? I think we did.
It may have happened. I ended up shooting an 86, I think, a few days after that.
You're
So
welcome. You're welcome.
let's just keep doing that. Let's just keep making the numbers go down and down and down. And
Have
then
you
we'll
had
see if it continues.
Any more sub 90 rounds?
Just that 86.
Okay.
On 9, I shot a 44 down in the middle of nowhere. I was on a golf trip last weekend, actually, a little outside of Columbus, actually about an hour outside of Columbus, in a town called Mount Sterling, where they have Deer Creek State Park. And we just did 54 in 3 days. It was great.
Look at you. I love that. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you got to keep me updated on the sub 90 rounds when they happen, because they are going to happen. All right. NBA Finals. Miami now trails 2-1. Denver the other night with not one but 2 triple doubles. We kind of just expect this, right? Fairly or unfairly. We expect it out of Jokic. Jamal Murray, who I think has been, I don't know if overshadowed is the right word, because Jokic should be getting all of the pub he's getting and more. But Jamal Murray has been absolutely outstanding as well. And I mean, if you're Miami right now, and you're Eric Spoelstra, who certainly is one of the best coaches in the game, what's next to go to in your bag of tricks as far as this Denver team? If both those guys are going to be – look, if they're shooting well from the outside, and conversely, if Miami isn't, it feels like that's the ball game right there. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of both involved in that, Chico. With Jamal, I think he's just more dangerous out of that high pick and roll, honestly.
Boy, they did that
it's when
nonstop in that game.
It is, dude. And if you look at him going, even those like little turnaround mid-range fadeaways that he hits, they're just it's just like you see him helpless when those kinds of shots are going down, especially when they're contested. I think defensively, I'm looking at Miami. I don't know if Jimmy is all the way there with that ankle still. There were a few plays where I feel like he got lost in the sauce, and it sounds like an excuse. And he would say the same thing, I'm sure. But they just kind of need to make sure that they have some healthier closeouts. I think they need to have a little bit more attention to detail off the ball. For Denver, though, I think that they came into that game with one heck of a mindset. And just taking away the DHOs and the pocket passes off of them. I think that they snuffed those out so well. The play with Bam Adebayo doing the dribble handoff to whether it's Max Strus, whether it's Duncan Robinson, whether it's Jimmy, and they do that immediate pocket pass. I think Denver did an excellent job of taking that away. We talk about Jamal Murray's offense. I thought defensively in Game 3 was very overshadowed in the way that he was able to defend on the ball and his awareness off the ball. And then I think you got to give a big shout to Christian Brown, who just continues to earn Michael Malone's trust over these playoffs, and in this final series particularly. Just the energy that he brings, the way that he is not backing down. Did you see that transition opportunity where he just put his chest into Jimmy and finished through contact against Jimmy Butler in the open floor? He had a dunk that pretty much tore the building down, but he's been tremendous. I think Bruce Brown, he might not have the stats. I think that he is somebody that really needs to get a little bit more appreciation in this series, because if you look at how Michael Malone's closing these games, the last 2, I believe Michael Porter Jr. wasn't on the floor. It was either Bruce Brown or Jeff Green. He's obviously, very trustworthy into his bench and his team as a whole. And I think for Miami to kind of turn this around, they're just going to need a little bit more. They're going to need Caleb Martin to revert to what he was doing in the Eastern Conference Finals. Personally, I don't know if this is the right decision or not, but I saw it in Game 2, and I think it worked really well, was when Kevin Love was on the floor with Bam. And Kevin Love played only 16 minutes in Game 3. Not sure. Maybe Spo wanted to go a little bit smaller. I'm not sure. But it kind of went away from what was working, because when Kevin Love's out there and he's stretching the floor, it gives Jimmy a little bit more room to operate. I think it gives Gabe Vincent a little bit more room to operate too. So we'll see if Spo goes back to Kevin tonight a little bit longer, or if he sticks with Caleb Martin and goes with that Eastern Conference Finals strategy. But I kind of view this as pretty much a must-win for Miami, because Denver's in a really good headspace. Even if they're that game 2 where Miami stole one in Denver, it feels like the Nuggets were really disappointed in their effort. So we'll see what happens.
I'm glad you mentioned Denver's defense because there's a lot. I remember saying during the West Finals that I wanted to see Denver just because I think everybody needs to truly appreciate Nikola Jokic and all that he is. And I think now hopefully people are really starting to get that because they needed to see him for a full series. They need to see him more than just because, again, he's not going to be the ESPN highlight guy necessarily. You're going to see the stats, but it's like, oh, yeah, Jokic. No, you watch this guy play a basketball game, and now that it's on the biggest stage, and I think people realize how great he is. But I also think one of the things that gets overlooked with Denver, and you mentioned Mike Malone, they are extremely versatile on defense. And, switching 1 through 4, and you mentioned, their ability to snuff a lot of what Miami wanted to do out. It seems like, and again, maybe this is back to everybody's the conversation is centered around Jokic and, what they're doing offensively. But I think Denver's defense is vastly underrated.
No, I think so too, man. And I love the quote that Michael Malone had in his press conference yesterday because they asked him about Nikola's defense. And he basically responded by saying he contested 21 shots in that game 3. And it may not be pretty. He might not be pinning shots against the backboard. He might not be swatting balls out into the crowd like some loud defensive player, but he's still making an impact there, and he's still altering shots, and he's still able to be that kind of big guy in the paint that can end up making you a little nervous to get shots up. And they didn't really get to the line. Miami didn't the way they did in game 2. They didn't really, they were very jump shot based in that third game. And, that's kind of how they have lived and died a little bit. But if you look at how Jimmy Butler's been playing, like he's not been loud. Like he's made a lot of timely shots and he's been big time for them in this series. No taking that away, but you're just not seeing that same kind of aggression, that mean, nasty streak type of Jimmy Butler that we saw in the Eastern Conference Finals. And so Miami is just kind of having to adapt to that. You see Bam Adebayo always taking these, 8 to 10 foot jumpers going inside. But the dribble penetrations, it was down in game 3 and they didn't get to the rim much. And I think that was played a big part in why the Nuggets were able to make them kind of play the game that they wanted them to play. And it worked out in their favor because when Miami was shooting threes and then they were missing long rebound opportunities, off we go, because Denver is a fast team. You saw it with Christian Brown.
Yeah.
You see it with Jamal Murray. They're constantly pushing it up the floor. And that takes a lot out of a team.
Game 4 tonight of the NBA Finals. Denver with a 2-1 lead. We're talking to Spencer Davies. You can follow him on Twitter at SpinDavies. Also follow the Hoop Herald, which is who he's writing for. You can catch all of that on Twitter as well. Okay, so you mentioned Jimmy Butler, and I want to go back to Jamal Murray because I'm with you. I think maybe Butler isn't 100%, but having said that, I caught something. I don't know if it was after last game or if it was game 2, but he basically he's kind of been energized because he kind of felt like, well, okay, he's doing all this, he's putting up some nice numbers, but Jimmy Butler isn't the guy that's largely taking control of him or the guy that's defending him. Now all of a sudden that is the case, and he's still doing it. And it almost like Jamal Murray felt like, okay, nobody's going to believe that I can truly do this until I do it on Jimmy Butler. Now, again, he might be banged up, but I think Murray's kind of out to prove that not only to himself but everybody else out there.
I have to agree with you there too. I mean, Jamal, throughout the entire postseason, really, man, you can tell that he is driven. He is absolutely driven. The last time that he was healthy and himself, the Nuggets were in the Western Conference Finals. They were in the bubble. They were one of the Final Four teams, right? So he wanted to kind of show that wasn't a fluke. And, you go down with an ACL injury, a lot of people are going to start talking about trades. A lot of people are going to talk about, is he going to get back to himself? Well, luckily, Jamal was only 22 or 23 when this happened. So lo and behold, a couple of years later, he's right back to where he was and better. I think defensively, you bring up a good point there. As I mentioned earlier, off the ball and just even staying in front of his man, grabbing rebounds, like those are big parts of the game that I think that he didn't even show too much of when, prior to that injury. But now you can just see, like, with the legs and with the confidence. I mean, confidence goes a long way. I think he started off 4 of 6 from the field in game 3. Like,
Yep.
if you get him going early, it's going to be really tough to get him stopped. So, they're in a good place, I think, overall. And, they're just kind of feeding off of one another. We didn't really mention too much of Aaron Gordon, but Aaron Gordon's been kind of an unsung hero in this series too.
Yeah.
Especially, just dependable. You were talking about switching 1 through 4. When they use him on offense and he's using his size, it's tough to stop him there. And he's, dishing the ball out, taking some very smart shots, not going outside of his comfort zone, playing the role that he's supposed to play. And they're benefiting from it.
So there's still, a long way to go. Obviously, Denver, if they can win tonight, puts a real stranglehold on this one against the Heat. But let's say hypothetically Denver does win. Jokic is the MVP, and this is something we talked yesterday with Eric Casillas on, and really everybody now is talking about. Is it fair to start talking about Jokic in terms of that? The great ones. I guess we'll start just with the center position. Can you already start doing that? I feel like this guy, I think you have to, only because of what he brings to the table does make it so unique. Everything he brings to the table. Your thoughts?
I mean, I think he's already there, and everyone's going to look at, two-way player. These guys were better defensively. And that may be true. And maybe he's not as dominant as a Shaq was, right? But you can't deny the effectiveness when he has. If you have coaches talking about it transcends scheme, then you know that you're dealing with a great player. And that's what Spo's talking about. The narrative was, make him a scorer and then you can beat the Nuggets. Like, no, it goes beyond that, because he has so many different parts of his skill set offensively that he can just pick you apart. And then if you look on defense, okay, if he's even semi-effective on the defensive end, like the way he was in game 3, and you can't do anything about it, then you have to be talking about someone that's great. Chico, he threw up 30, 20, and 10 in a finals game. It's never been done before. And I know that sounds like, stat merchant stuff. It's not stat merchant stuff. It's productive. It's necessary for his team to win. This isn't going after and saying, teammates, go away so I can get this rebound. Or, hey, here, let me give you a pass right here. Like, no, these are in the flow of the game, plays that make a difference and help his team win. So I don't know, God, that fires me up if you can't tell, like why we can't talk about these guys in that kind of light when they're literally making history. He is absolutely one of the top big guys to ever play, and one of the top players to ever play.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to give you a number.
No.
He's up there.
Yeah, I certainly don't need a number. You said exactly what I said yesterday. I totally agree with that. And I also think that, okay, yes, for those that are pushing back a little bit, going, "Wait, hang on a second now, I mean, the obvious is, we shouldn't have to preface it by, well, let's see how long he can do this. But I threw something out yesterday, which honestly, I expected a lot more blowback than I got. So feel free to, wow, that sounds like a ridiculous take. But how when you talk about the greatest players of all time, and I'm, obviously LeBron, MJ, Kobe, and, I'm not purposely leaving out some of the big men, but, you talk about guys that are just uber athletic. Now, if there's one thing about Jokic that people like to laugh about, wow, this guy's vertical is not. I almost get the sense that, he has a chance to do this for a long time because he's not necessarily reliant on that, twitchy, great athletic ability. Kobe Bryant was the late Kobe Bryant was obviously was incredible, but when he fell off, it was a pretty a steep cliff. And, he couldn't defend anybody anymore after being just, a glue guy. MJ, kind of the same thing. But I almost feel like with Jokic, it's a lot of wear and tear. I get that. But, he's not reliant on being that explosive athlete. And I almost think that might help him to prolong his career.
No, I don't think that's crazy, man. He's not going out there throwing up a bunch of dunks and swatting a bunch of shots. He's not like some amazing player in transition. He has great footwork, and we did see him move a little bit in game 1, but he's not that type of player to where he's jumping out the building. He's cerebral. He's smart. He doesn't rush. He makes the right reads. That's all up here. That's literally all up here. And Michael Malone said it best too. He's somebody that just sees things before they happen. And then he has options in his head and can process them that quickly. Say, okay, I'm going to go with option A. I'm going to go with option B. No, not there. I'll shoot a dribble handoff. That kind of stuff is literally all in the brain. And athletically, it's not there. It's not his forte. Was Tim Duncan athletic? How do we view Tim Duncan in that sphere? Is he the same player? No. Tim's a face-up, bank shot, big fundamentals guy. We obviously know he's one of the best power forwards of all time. But in that stratosphere is what I'm talking about as far as athleticism isn't what made them, right? So Nikola Jokic, yes, I could absolutely see him playing pretty deep into his career because, the only thing that's really going to slow down is what? Maybe his conditioning is going to get worse because he's been playing for so long.
That is a big...
Maybe he does step slow.
Yep.
That's about it. That's all I can think about.
What I think is interesting, too, is, and we've heard this, before series begins. This series, throughout the playoffs, when they're matching up each team, and they're saying, okay, let's get a preview of, Denver and Minnesota. And, well, if you can speed up Nikola Jokic, good luck trying to do that. I would think there are a lot of teams and a lot of very smart coaches that, obviously I'm sure it's crossed their mind, and I'm sure they'd love to do that, but it's almost like he's incapable. And I don't mean this as a knock against him because it sounds like, oh, he's just kind of plodding along. But, he's impossible to speed up, Spence. You can't do it.
You know what's quick? His hands.
Yeah.
His hands are quick. His eyes are quick. His brain is quick.
Yeah.
That's what's tough to speed up, right? You can absolutely blow by him off the dribble or something like that. That's obvious. But schematically or defensively, he's going to see something coming, so he's going to stick his hand out. Or he's going to call out a teammate to say, okay, they're going this way. He's got a great basketball IQ, okay? It's hard to speed up something like that when you're not talking about physically. I'm talking about mentally.
On a scale of 1 to 10, shifting gears here a little bit. On a scale of 1 to 10, when fans hear these stories about Donovan Mitchell and the New York Knicks, 10 being the highest, 1 not so much, what's the level of panic? What should it be for Cavs fans?
I wouldn't call it panic. It's absolutely out there, and we know that he loves New York. It's his hometown.
Yeah, it's all we've known that for a while.
4.5, right? A 4.5, a 5.
Okay, good.
Indifferent. I think that's where I'm at. We had this discussion the last time I was on the show, man. Guys talk to each other. They talk to friends who may be executives with other teams. They play golf with them. They text each other, non-teammates, all that stuff, right? This is when there's just too much time in between the last game of the season and the start of next season.
You've got people.
This is what it is.
There are some fans saying, "Well, you know what? People are telling me I'm living in, and maybe I am living in my fears if not wanting to bring in DeAndre Hopkins or fearing that he could end up being another Jadeveon Clowney, which I don't want to see." But then those same people are like, "Oh man, you know what? Go ahead and move him, get rid of him, get what you can for him." And I'm like, "What? Why? What? Why are people like?" We got a whole nother year to play out. There's a lot of good pieces here. Do they have to make some adjustments? And does Kobe have to tinker with this roster? Absolutely. And the other thing with the whole New York, yes, we know that he has He grew up there. He has many connections there. He's in awe of Madison Square Garden. I could see if, like, he has made some kind of negative remark, like a Kyrie remark on Cleveland or the fan base, but he's done none of that. Like, all he did was really, I think, endear himself to the fan base, saying how excited he was. He grew up a LeBron fan, and he played his ass off. I know in the playoffs, and yeah, that has to change. But, like, there's none of that either. So it's like I don't get the panic and people just saying, well, you know what, go ahead and start looking into trading him now. I don't get that at all.
There's a microscope on optics, and a lot of Cleveland fans would look at the optics of him saying, "Oh, the Garden was jumping. I loved it." Okay, of course. I think a lot of players on the Cavs love that atmosphere, right? But because
Jared
it's
Allen
Donovan
did.
Mitchell, because he's the elephant in the room is that he wanted to go to New York and probably still does, that there's insecurity and there's like this automatic thought of, oh God, okay, this is happening all over again. I'm still not buying it yet. It is June 9th, 2023. Donovan Mitchell has been a Cleveland Cavalier for less than a year. He's been a Cleveland Cavalier for 9 or 10 months.
Get rid of him,
Right?
trade him, gosh, get some back,
Trade
whatever
him
you can
away,
get
right?
for him. Yeah.
It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. But I mean, you could look into the future, right? Like, say things don't go as well as you'd hoped this year with
Yes.
Donovan and the retinkered roster, then you revisit it, right?
Yes.
But I'm just saying right now, I'm probably thinking that the organization who made a huge investment into Donovan Mitchell traded away one of their best power forwards / small forwards, a budding young not superstar, but pretty solid shooting guard, and a rookie in Ochai Agbaji who ended up having a pretty decent second half of the season. That's quite a bit that they moved on from, right? And and the picks that they moved on from, right? So I don't think that the investment they made last August is going to just be a 10-month project. Just don't think that's going to happen.
I feel like too many people are dismissing, like, yeah, this coming season. Like, I heard somebody the other day say, they can't go anywhere with Donovan Mitchell. This team as is constructed, and they're not, obviously they have to tinker with it. Kobe, we've already been through this after the New York series and what needs to happen, be more physical, all that stuff. But like, you're telling me that they get some proper pieces, some better pieces, and they're more physical, and Donovan Mitchell starts to gel even more with these guys, and they make a longer run, that he's ready to jump. I can't. That seems like a jump to me, but I don't know. Been hearing a lot of it lately.
No, yeah, it's all around, because I mean, you're gonna look at the draft, and then after the draft, what happens? Then you're in the offseason, and then there's a hot new rumor, right? We're already talking about Kyrie Irving and LeBron James linking up in Dallas, right? This is the NBA cycle. This is what we do every single season, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it doesn't have any shot in hell of happening. This is what happens. This is the NBA cycle. People just got to get used to it, unfortunately. Donovan is a little bit more realistic than that. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's on the margins for Cleveland, man. I really do. I think you look at Denver, for example. You go out and get a Bruce Brown and a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Look how big of a difference that's made for them defensively, right? And just adding to those edges. You think about like I don't want to throw out too many names, but like you look at the Cavs, maybe they look at Max Strus, maybe they look at Naz Reid, a Mason Plumlee, like those types, that caliber of player, right, is what you're probably looking at when you look at the mid-level exception. So those are the types of players that I expect them to look at, and those are the tiers that you need to add to your team in order to continue to gel, because you don't have the surrounding pieces, right? Maybe I'm crazy too, but I think they need to give Sam Merrill a shot. I think that guy can shoot the lights out.
Ooh.
And if you look at some of the guys that have been around, like Sam Hauser for the Celtics, who had a really solid season and a decent postseason when he got to play. The entire Heat team's second rounders and undrafteds, but you have prime examples on that team of what a little player development can do, right? But Sam's got size, and he's been a 40+% 3-point shooter for the Charge. I think that's somebody that they really have to look into, and maybe as an internal answer as well. Just being a guy off the bench that can light it up. We'll see. But yeah, no, I think it's all on the margins.
All right, we'll get you out of here with this and one more peek into that crystal ball as far as predictions go. A lot of talk about Dame Lillard. Do you think after the NBA draft that Dame Lillard will still be with the Portland Trail Blazers?
That's a great question, because this is actually the first summer that I've actually said to myself, it might be time.
Yeah.
It might be time. And, been holding on for dear life, but we've never heard Dame go out on these, podcasts before and like actively talking about other teams pretty much. And, you had some hosts and whoever was doing the podcast ask him some sucker questions about would you rather have here or there? And usually Dame would take the easy way out, but he was mentioning Miami because Bam's my guy, like he was mentioning teams, right? I think it won't be on draft night. I don't think a trade would happen on draft night. I think it would happen more towards like mid-July or maybe even at the end of July if they were to go that direction. A lot of talk about, Anthony Simons as well, maybe being a part of a package and, the youth movement and whatnot they might bring over to Portland. But that I could see that happening. I don't think that's too far-fetched, especially after all this time.
Does it feel like Miami would be the let me ask you this. Would Portland, because I think for the most part, I don't, you would know more about this than I do, but like I think, I haven't heard so much, Dame criticizing the organization or vice versa. So, would it be a situation, is it amicable enough where they would actually go to Dame and say, well, they might not want him in the Western Conference, but would they say, hey, where would you like to go in the East? And might he say, hey, Miami is really where I want to go, and they try to make that happen?
I think that they would absolutely consult with him and try to get him to go to the East, but I think ultimately at the end of the day, they're just going to look at what they can get best for him if that's the case and if that's what they want to do. It depends because they're like in this weird middle. Are they going to commit to the rebuild and the youth? Are they going to sign guys like Jeremy Grant, and bring in other talents that have been, had enough experience to play with that veteran level to perhaps compete for a championship or to get closer to that playoff, echelon. And I think Dame's got a good point. You can't be half in and half out. And especially for where he's at in his career, I think he's starting to finally realize that. And, you don't win the lottery, and we'll see what happens. I think that a lot of people have got Scoot Henderson trending towards being a guy there. And if Scoot goes there, he could absolutely play with Dame, but that might be the time if they end up with Scoot to say, okay, that's the point guard of our future. And Dame, we're going to see what, we can get for you. And thanks for everything you've done for us. It just kind of makes sense if they went that direction.
Spence, thank you for everything you've done for us here at the Chico Bormann Show. We appreciate it. Spencer Davies, one of the best, talking NBA. You can follow him on Twitter at SpinDavies. Also check him out at The Hoop Herald. Keep hitting them straight. Keep breaking 90. And, we shall talk soon, my friend. Thank you for your time, bud.
Sounds good, Chico. I'll try.
All right. That is, again, Spencer Davies getting ready for Game 4 tonight between the Heat and the Denver Nuggets. We'll come back. We'll talk maybe some predictions. Boom. Are you feeling lucky? Are you feeling confident with Game 4? Miami, last I checked, our buddies at Tipico, last I checked, Miami was a 3.5-point dog at home to Jokic and company. So we'll save your answer. We'll see if Bohm is leaning one way or the other, or if he's just leaning, but for no apparent reason. It's the Chico Bormann Show, back with the final half hour on this Friday. God, I hate that. On the Big Play Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. All righty, welcome back as we wind it down on this Friday afternoon. Gorgeous day outside, so hopefully that's going to mean gorgeous night outside, which means we get a nice crowd. We're going to talk. We're going to wrap up the show talking Guardians because last night, hopefully, finally, a sign of things to come. I mean, when it's one thing. 3 home runs, but when Hosey does it, and Hosey does it after, because he's gonna, okay, maybe he doesn't match what he did a year ago, but that he's gonna, the cream always rises to the top, and the numbers pretty much always average out. And yes, I am wearing the Hosey tee today. But I feel like, yes, Boom, what do you?
Chico, speaking of yesterday's game, obviously there was a lot to be excited about. But did you see that first pitch?
The first pitch from Aaron Savali?
No, the first pitch from Sir Yacht.
Who the hell is Sir Yacht? Sir Yacht? Is
He
that Jerry Jones? Like, who the hell is Sir Yacht?
That's his handle. I don't know his real name, but so he does the full windup, right? And then he just falls, like stumbles. Like you see his foot just like lose its footing and it falls out from under him and he just lands on his face. Chico, it looked like
Padone didn't do that, did he?
No, Padone had a great first pitch. Chico, this looked like a ploy. This was a fraudulent attempt at botching a first pitch. It was blatantly egregious.
Let me hang on a second. I want to read this guy's bio. I'm not. This isn't a knock. I don't really know. He's got 40,000 followers. Going big, not home. Host of since '99 Hard Knots Pod. I guess his real name is Brent. Okay. So now I'm looking at so he didn't really fall. I'm looking at it.
Well, he fell.
Well, I mean, he didn't fall because he, it looks like it
looks like a ruse.
Say that again.
It looks like a ruse. It's a ruse.
Looks like a ruse. Yeah. I'm. Hang on a second. I want to get a better. Yeah, it looks like somebody from like the mezzanine section, like there was a sniper up there and they took out his Achilles or something. Like he looks ridiculous. I mean, is what he looks like. Is this? Did he actually do a first pitch after this, or was this? Was this what he had? It. This is what he had in mind.
I think that was it. You see the ball go flying out back, like throwing it completely the other direction.
So let me get this straight. The Guardians, and I don't know how you go about. I'll have to ask Padone how you go about, getting a first pitch or whatever. But the Guardians agreed. Yeah, we'll have Brent or Sir Yacht. You can throw out the first pitch. He does this, and is this supposedly for like content or clicks?
Got us talking about it.
You talking about it. I didn't talk about it.
True. I just it's.
So what was your question? Did he do it? I
wanted to ask it on Fair or Foul, but since we're back on the Guardians again.
Yeah, okay.
Chico, this seemed like a completely foul attempt for attention.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like he really, legitimately fell down.
And you have to imagine, he probably practiced that windup and falling over and over instead of just throwing a pitch.
What is this guy's, occupation? What does he do for?
Might just be a content creator. He probably has some side gig. I don't know. I don't want to speculate in that regard. Just in his faking of a first
He has
pitch.
a blue check mark, which I guess is still a big deal. Like if you're paying for it, then right?
I mean, it can be a big deal, but he's paying for it.
How much is a blue check mark now? I don't even know.
I want to say $8 a month.
So like for the cost of Hulu or Netflix or something, you could have a blue check.
You do get more exposure that way.
Do you? I mean,
yeah.
I've no. Now I'm
Twitter
okay.
favors you in the algorithm if you pay them.
I'm the
It only makes
worst
sense.
case. Even before now, even before Elon Musk.
Oh, I think even before as well. But then Elon came in and gave you the option to buy a blue check mark as well. And ever since then, it's always gotten favoritism in the algorithm.
I guess what's bothered me in the past, because like I've worked with people who will remain nameless. I've worked with people that like when they, and I don't even know how you go about getting, somebody said to me at one point years ago, like, dude, you should really go and get a blue check mark. And I'm like, well, how do you go about doing it? Oh, you petition or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't need a blue check mark. What? I'm a goof. Like, it feels like that's
Join the
something
club.
for very serious. But I worked with people who, when they did get the blue check mark, like they were having like a party. Like it was like a huge deal. And I'm like, is it really that big of a deal when you get a blue check mark?
For some people, it's a bigger deal than others. I imagine for myself, that would feel like kind of a big deal. Like that would be that.
But I mean, you're already a celebrity. You're a big rock star.
Not yet. I'm getting there. I'm working towards it. But
Let me see. Hang on. Let me. Now I want to check. Like, does Padone probably has one? I can. Yeah. Let me.
just call out everyone who has blue check
The
marks.
company. Yeah. I mean, he's got a blue one. Oh yeah. Yeah. He's. Now, does he use that? Is that a company expense?
Interesting question.
Cleveland native. Ooh, that's a very nice bio from Padone. Let me do very clean. Cleveland native, sports media professional, Kent grad.
We're just stalking profiles live on the air.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, you're the one that brought it up. You wanted to get Sir Yacht's. I don't know. Like, I don't even know who the guy is, and I'm not. Okay, I know people will say, "Oh, yeah, you do. You just don't want to give him." I really don't know who this dude is. But if he got a bunch of followers out of it, or he got a bunch of content, then God bless him.
Congratulations, Brent.
Thanks, Bo. All right, 216-626-7901, 216-626-7901. Obviously, you can follow us on Twitter, stream the show on Twitter each and every day, 1 to 3, Monday through Friday at Chico Show CLE. Go to YouTube and type in the Chico Bormann Show, hit subscribe. All right, Bohm, are you leaning one way or the other? Game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight. Denver, pretty convincing win in Game 3. Not just Jokic, Jamal Murray also puts up a triple-double. Miami at home, kind of a backs against the wall. They lose this game. I think they know that it's going to be I know they've been in this position a lot, but I know that it's it feels like they're done if they lose tonight. So does the Miami Heat go down 3-1?
Chico, I'm hammering Denver and that plus 3.5. Now Spin Davies said it best that this feels like a must win for Miami. Like if you don't win today,
Well, it is a must. Yeah.
But I still don't believe that they have what it takes to just. They feel outmatched at this point. They look worn. It's been a long season for them. I don't think that Jimmy Butler is going to be able to carry this team beyond Jokic.
Well, I think Eric Casillas said something yesterday which was interesting, although simple, and I think correct. Like if you looked at Max Strus's numbers, you look at Gabe Vincent's numbers. Like he said, tell me what Miami is going to shoot from beyond the arc, or just shoot period, but beyond the arc, and I'll tell you if Miami wins or not. Like, is it that simple? Maybe it is. Because I mean, I don't think you're going to necessarily stop. Yeah, clearly you're not going to, just completely shut down Jokic. And at this point, Murray is kind of looking like, I don't know if Jimmy Butler is hurt and that ankle is bothering him more, but Jamal Murray, bottom line is, if you're Jokic and you're getting those assists, he obviously can see the floor very well, but he's finding guys open, and those guys, specifically Jamal Murray, are knocking those shots down. Is it as easy as saying if Miami shoots well from beyond the arc, they win this game and it's not at 2 games apiece?
Well, I thought EK also proposed the pretty interesting and insightful strategy for approaching Denver defensively, where if you can take everyone else out of the game and force Jokic to do all the scoring himself, that gives you a chance. And so I think the key will be what we see from Jamal Murray's numbers. Now, obviously, for Miami, you got to see these guys step up and hit threes. No doubt about it, because they were, 33% in Game 3? So you've got to do better than that against the tough Denver squad. But I'm interested to see if they revert to that approach that they did in Game 2 that gave them some success. Let Jokic score the 2-pointers. Don't let Murray run all over you again.
Is that easier said than
Of
done?
course.
It could come down to, look, if Murray's not knocking down shots from the outside when Jokic finds him and other guys, then okay, I guess, yeah, because there's that stat which, I guess it's telling to some degree. Like when he scores 40 plus, they're like 0-3 in the postseason. Is that right?
I believe so.
But and we said yesterday, like the perfect game for him is like 25 to 30 points. This is out maybe 12 to 15 assists, gets 12 to 15 boards, and everybody's involved and everybody's going home happy. I think, though, I said this to Spencer Davies earlier, I do think along with somewhat underrating, if that's possible, Nikola Jokic, I also think people have not given Denver's defense any credit whatsoever. Like, they are a very, I'm not going to say like a shutdown D, lockdown D, anything like that. Rob's always throwing eyeballs in here at me.
Looked like he had some food with him.
Well, Rob is one of the ones that believes that Mitchell, you gotta move on and whatever, but that's all right.
Rip off the Band-Aid?
Yeah. No, but I mean, you watch Denver play defense, and they're pretty versatile. They can switch 1 through 4. I realize these things aren't going to get talked about during the regular season, but I feel like nobody really gave Denver or Malone the credit they deserve. So when the fans, people are saying, oh, the fans desperately want to be the underdog in this series. No, they don't. They just want respect. They want Denver to get the respect they deserve, and hopefully that's going to happen. Now, again, they're only up 2-1, but they win tonight. They go up 3-1. I think it's pretty much a done deal. I think Jokic is your MVP and all that good stuff. I think Denver fans just say, hey, pay attention to us. I realize we're out in Denver, Colorado. I realize we got a guy in Nikola Jokic who is not necessarily going to lead SportsCenter with highlights, but we are a damn good team and a pretty complete team as well.
And you mentioned Coach Michael Malone. I think it's been really interesting just hearing him speak throughout the course of this postseason. He has such a good way of putting things in perspective, and you can see how it resonates with the players because they're all mimicking his words. That message that he's putting out, they're all projecting it too. And I've really loved what I've seen from him. And frankly, I always thought highly of him, but at this point, I have to consider him. We've had this discussion with Spoelstra is probably the best coach in the league, but at this point, I have to put Michael Malone right up there from what he's put forth this postseason. It's been borderline, dare I say, immaculate coaching.
I think he's going to appreciate that, Boom. I think he will appreciate those are some very high praise, very kind words that you're passing along to Michael Malone. All right, so I feel like I didn't hear the actual prediction. What's?
Oh yeah, I'm hammering the Nuggets and the 3.5.
Okay. Oh, look at you getting all. Okay. All right. So Nuggets go up 3-1. I
already placed my bet on Tipico.
Boy, it's hard for me to go because Spoelstra. This is when he's. But I don't know if there really is an answer. Other than, okay, put it this way: if the answer is you're waiting for guys to go cold, and I'm not talking about Jokic, but guys like Jamal Murray to go cold, or I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't know how much more, as good as Spoelstra is. Like I was saying to Spencer Davies, it's so funny because throughout the playoffs against Jokic, you'd always hear analysts say, and guys that certainly know a hell of a lot more than I ever will or have known, about the game of basketball. But like, just if you can speed up Nikola Jokic, dude, forget it. Like nobody's saying it now, which I love because they realize it's basically impossible. So
resistance is futile.
If you can't, thank you, Bo. If you can't do that, and even as great as Spoelstra is, I don't think you can do that. Yeah, I'm going to go Nuggets as well. -3.5. Do I? I'll tell you what. I'm going to take Miami getting the points. I think it's going to be tight. I do think it's going to be tight.
And clearly they know their backs are against the wall here in this one.
Yeah, and at home and all. Yeah, I'll go Miami. I don't feel great about it, but I'll go Miami getting 3.5. All right, now the real prediction. Pain. You don't even know what's that. That's from Rocky 3. Rocky 3. Yeah.
I knew because you've mentioned that one before.
Clubber Lang. You got a big mouth. Astros in town for 3. Hosey goes yard 3 times last night. Not 1, not 2, 3 times he goes yard. Guardians put a 10 spot on the board. They beat Boston 10-3, take 2 out of 3. It's not just Hosey. Well, Hosey finally broke out. He was kind of struggling up to that point. But so he busts out with 3 bombs. Will Brennan has been red hot. Josh Naylor's been red hot. Jimenez is swinging it well. Ahmed Rosario is swinging it well. Are they going to take 2 out of 3? Because Houston is kind of, they come in here struggling. They have not been scoring a lot of runs. I think they've lost 3 in a row, and during that streak, they've only scored 5 runs. And this is big. We're not just talking about a good bat. We're talking about the RBI leader in baseball in Yordan Alvarez, who apparently had some kind of crazy in the batting cage yesterday prior to their game. His last swing, he re-aggravated that oblique injury, stayed in for 1 at bat, and said he's done. Now they're saying he won't return until, it could be 7 to 10 days. So he's not going to be there in the middle of that lineup, a lineup that is already struggling. Guardians taking 2 out of 3, dare I say it, sweep against the hated Stros.
That's not just glass half full. That's glass overflowing right there, Chico. Hey, I'd love to see it, but yeah.
Well, okay, 2 out of 3.
I'm gonna say it happens. I'm gonna keep my glass half full, cautiously half full. But I do think that coming in against a team that's coming off 3 straight losses could go either way. That's another one where you're going to come in with a back against the wall approach because you don't want to keep slumping. You want to break out of it. But ultimately, how badly are they slumping? We'll find out tonight.
Well, Javi, I will say this. They're slumping offensively, and Yordan Alvarez is out. And those are the guy going to – I feel like tonight could be a big tell in this series because Christian Javier has been outstanding. I think his ERA – like 4 outings against Cleveland is below 1. Like it's like 0.69 or something. But I mean, regardless of that, he's just been lights out altogether recently. And Logan Allen has been very good. Logan Allen has answered every challenge. I love hearing Tito talk about him. He's like, he just doesn't get rattled. He gives up a walk or he gives up a home run and he's right back on the horse again. But if they can get tonight against Javier, I feel good that it's brooms. I'll call it. They get tonight, brooms. They lose tonight and they get broomed, well, then I'm going to be getting broomed right out of here. Not just the studio, but maybe out of the city.
I'm just hoping you don't put the kibosh on it, Chico.
That was
yesterday you were like, nothing is lining up for the Guardians, and then suddenly things start to line up. And now we're being optimistic.
I never said that. I said the opposite. I said everything is lining up in terms of Minnesota playing Tampa Bay.
You said nothing was lining up prior to that.
Prior to that, yes. But like I said this week, I've been saying it all week, that Tampa Bay playing Minnesota playing Tampa Bay, followed by Minnesota playing Toronto. Would you quit listening half-ass, Bohm?
Putting
For
words
God's
in your mouth.
sake. Yes. Well, you've been saying this week that nothing's lining up for him. No, I'm saying this week would be a great week for things to line up because Minnesota's got a tough road. They've lost 2 out of 3. They did lose 2 out of 3. Now they've got Toronto on the road, and here the Guardians are. Okay, you got to play the Astros. They're a great team, but you're catching them at the right time. Jose, this was even before Jose had last night. So you're saying that nothing's lining up for him, Bohm? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right. Bohm, great job. Not only today, but all week long. It was great having you. And you do a stellar job for the Chico Bormann Show, despite what some may say. I always have your back. You know that.
Haters going to hate.
Spencer Davies was outstanding today as well, talking a little NBA. Game 4 tonight between the Heat and the Nuggets from Miami. Will Smith going to – no, we're not going to do that. I like Miami getting the points. I think Denver wins, though. They do go up 3-1. So 4, Spencer Davies, Michael Bohm, the circus going on back there in the office, led by Jack. Yeah, error foul. Wendy's is the best fast food ever. And did you forget about Tayshaun Gibson?
We need a name for them, like a nickname, like the Peanut Gallery, like the Dog and Pony Show, something.
I'll put you in charge of that. How's that, Bohm? All right, we're out of time. Back with you again on Monday, beginning at 1 o'clock. Also Monday night, the Reflog Show. So we got plenty to talk about from a very, very busy weekend. And, of course, Jose. En fuego. Until then, make it a great weekend, everybody. The Chico Bormann Show here on the Big Play Sports Network.